You're listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson, the podcast that tells you what it really takes to build a business and the simple steps to get you there. I'm determined to share with you the reality of easy, simple business marketing tips to make passive income so that you can start making money online. Making Money Online is sponsored by Nicola J. Rowley PR, helping entrepreneurs and brands get visible through strategic storytelling. If you're serious about being seen and impacting the lives of others, harnessing the power of PR is the best way to grow and scale your business. Visit njrpr.com for more details and read Nicola's best-selling book, The Power of PR. Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Lisa Johnson, and you will have heard me talking in the last few weeks about how I've been selling all the time. We did this experiment where we sold 7 different things, 7 different launches in 7 to 8 weeks, and it went brilliantly. And one of the reasons I was able to do that is because my mindset around selling is really good. I believe that you can sell every day. I believe that you're doing people a service by selling all the time. And I don't believe that you have to sell in a sleazy way. And one of the people who really believes this too is on the podcast today, and that is Charlie Day. So welcome to the podcast, Charlie.
Hello.
Hello. So Charlie is also the salesperson in my high-level mastermind, Destination Inspiration. So she teaches people to sell every day in the right way, rather than just selling any way you can. And I think that's the difference here. So, Charlie, why did you decide that you need to teach people how to sell differently?
So I started my first business when I was 21. I went to drama school and I came out of drama school, and for 5 months I pursued my acting career, and then it died a death. And
as so many of ours do.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I don't know if it was like my 21-year-old arrogance or like I was just completely clueless, because I was like, I'll start a business. That'll be easy. There's loads of people out there and there's me with all these skills. I'll just start a business. And so I launched a theatre school when I was 21, and I'd calculated like how many children there were in the area and realized there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people who could potentially come. Surely it was a no-brainer for them to come to my theatre school. And so I got to work marketing it, and I was like doing a week like workshop over some holidays, and I worked so hard and I managed to get 7 people there, and I was just completely and utterly destroyed. I couldn't believe I'd put all of this time and effort into it, but in the only way I know how to, I was like, I'm going to put my all into these 7 kids. It's going to be amazing. And at the end of the workshop, I was just going to brush everything into the carpet and like, turn over a new leaf and forget about it. But at the end of the week, all of the parents were like, oh my gosh, my child's loved it so much. They want to come. Are you going to do weekly classes? And I thought, well, actually, I've worked so hard to get these 7 people through the door. I'd be foolish to let them go. But in that moment, I made a promise to myself that I was just going to get really, really good at sales. And I actually took on a sales coach really early on. I didn't actually, now I would say it was a sales coach, but I didn't actually know what it was at that
Just
time.
someone to help you sell. Yeah.
Yeah. And, they do this thing. So I live in Chelmsford. I don't actually know if they still do it, but they do this thing called the Chelmsford Business Showcase. And so there I was 21 years old, not a clue what I was doing, like literally not a Scooby. I didn't even know anybody else who ran a small business. And so I'm just like, right, I'm going to go to this thing, try and figure out what I'm doing. And I walk into like a room full of men in suits, and I'm like, okay, I was a bit worried and now I'm terrified. And this guy came onto the stage and he was like, get your phone out, text me. And he rang me the next day. I don't know if you must have rang every single person, but, this was before people were doing stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
And he basically sold me his mastermind or group program. It was face to face. Obviously, it was in Essex. And so I was like, yeah, brilliant. It was a lot of money. And I went along, and there were all these men like talking about how they sell and giving me ideas of how I can sell. And I just felt like my theatre school did not fit into their very archaic way of selling and asking people why they should buy now, and then, turning it around so they're selling it to themselves. And I just thought, actually, this isn't me. This isn't what I want to be like. And there must be another way of doing it. And actually, what I learned along the way is the best way to sell is by not selling at all.
Absolutely.
And, all of the things that we talk about all of the time are actually the exact opposite of what that sales coach taught me at the beginning. So at the time when I left, after 6 months, I left. And I remember talking to someone and they were like, oh, I haven't been on holiday in like 3 years or whatever. And this mastermind was like £500 a month. And I was like, just pull out of this and go on holiday. Like, what are you playing at? This is insane. And so I made the decision that I was just going to pull out. And at the time I was like, what a waste of money. But actually now looking back, I think it might have been the best thing that I did, because I realized that wasn't the way that I was going to sell. And I was going to make selling exactly what I wanted it to be, which I did. And I grew 3 businesses from the ground up to multi-6 figures. And now obviously here I am running Charlie Day Sales and teaching other people to sell in the right way as well.
And that's the thing. I think sometimes we look back and we go, oh, what a waste of money that was. I've told you before, like my first coach, I look back and go, oh my God, I spent 30K and it was awful. It was just so bad. And then I think, but that's why I decided to shout about integrity so much. That's why my whole business is built on integrity. Would it have been if I hadn't had that awful experience? And, would you be sitting here selling this amazing way of selling where people don't have to feel like sleazy or icky about it if you hadn't had that experience? Like, these things have to happen. They're supposed to happen so that we know what we're doing. But you talk about this archaic way of selling. I think that way is still out there. I've got onto mastermind calls with people where I wanted to join their mastermind, or I've been taught by people that I should be going, what are the 3 objections? Well, you need to say things like, well, what's going to happen in 6 months if you don't come into here? Your business is going to fail, and all these things. Always made me feel uncomfortable, always made me feel, even like prodding pain points has always made me feel like, really, is this the way we have to do it? Make people feel so shit about themselves that they buy stuff from you? I don't think that needs to be the way. And you've seen that I sell quite differently to most people. So I think it's absolutely amazing that people are starting to see that you can sell in a different way. How hard has it been to show people that it doesn't have to be the way we've seen from people in the last 10 years?
Yeah, really hard. And I completely agree. I've been to an event recently where they was really pressurizing you to buy there and then. I think people are quite shocked when I'm like on a sales call or whatever, and I'm like, you go away and think about it. And they'll be like, no, I'm ready to buy right now. I'm like, no, have a think about it, because obviously we're on a call, you probably get really carried away, but I would prefer for you to go and think about it, make sure it's the right thing, and then buy. And they're like, I need the sales coach. I'm like, yes, this is the way to sell. That's the way to sell. But, it still happens all the time. And I also think that the face of sales has got a bad name. And so many people are scared to do it now because they've been bruised in the past, how people have sold to them.
Yeah. We all think of it like, or like used car salesman or window salesman.
Yeah. Like the classic sales guy is Mr. Wormwood from Matilda, like dodgy, everything's like, oh God, yeah, just freaks me out. But it does happen. And I think this is why I'm so passionate about getting my message out there, because I think a lot of particularly female business owners that I meet are just so scared to sell because of that way of selling that they've just stopped selling completely, and they just tell people what they do every now and again and hope that they come. And there is an in-between where we can sell without being sleazy, but we are actually still selling.
Yeah, because we have to, I think in business, if we're in a business, we should be selling every day.
100%.
But so many people say, don't sell, you need to give value for 6 months and then sell something, and then give value again and then sell something. I'm like, why? Shops don't, hairdressers don't.
I always use like M&S as an example. Like imagine if you went to M&S to like buy a birthday card. I really like the cards in M&S. That's like my go-to shop. So I've gone into M&S, I'm looking around for the cards and I can't find them anywhere. Like I'm looking, they've moved from the normal place. Where are they? I'm looking around and like getting quite frustrated now because I can't find the cards. And then I go up to a salesperson or a shop assistant and say, where are the cards? And they're like, oh, we haven't put the cards out today because we didn't want to seem too pushy.
Yeah. It's like, you're so right. Because when people first find you, you know, people say don't sell to people straight away. But when people first find you, that's the time they most need you normally. That's why they're looking for you. So they come into your group or they email you or whatever, you know, come onto your list or whatever, and you're told not to sell to them at that point. But actually, they're obviously got a problem. That's why they've come to you. So if you can say, well, yeah, I can solve that for you. Here's the solution. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And people say to me all the time, like, I don't want to put multiple offers out there. Why not? There's multiple people wanting to buy different things. Why would you not have multiple offers out at the same time?
I was one of those people that people told me you can only launch something or sell something like once a quarter, sell one thing. So I always did. And then I just thought, I'm one for not following advice well. So I'll follow it for a certain amount of time and then I'll go, or what? What will happen if I do this thing that everyone's told me not to do? And generally, my curious mind will make me experiment. And that's what we've done this quarter. We've gone, well, let's put out like all of the offers in one go and just see what happens. See if we lose everyone. See if nobody buys anything. We've literally hit every target for every product that we've sold so far. Because it's different people wanting different things. It's not the same people coming into everything. It's no, some people want to learn how to get visible, but some people want to write a book, but some people just want the membership. Some, you know, there's all different things.
And then there's crossover as well. Like some people want to be in the mastermind, in the membership and go into the strategy day.
Yeah.
And like they're going to buy multiple things. And people say to me sometimes like, oh, I just don't want to come across too pushy. And I'm like, do I come across too pushy? And they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, well, I'm doing it all the time. So there is your permission to do it all the time as well.
And that's the thing, this word pushy, especially as females, we're told from such a young age not to be demanding, not to be pushy, not to boast, all of these different things. And then we go into business and that's there in our head. But if we don't talk about how good we are at what we do, if we don't, you know, tell people what we've got for sale and say why it's good and why people should buy it, then people aren't going to buy because no one can sell like you can sell yourself.
Totally. And people try and outsource selling. And I honestly think it needs to be the last thing that you outsource. Only get a sales team in if you cannot physically facilitate the selling yourself, because no one's going to sell as well as you do. And even when you've got that sales team, it needs to be coming down from you. But I can see why people get a little bit stuck with selling, because like even in this conversation, we're like, we don't want to sell with sleaze, but also do be pushy. Like don't not be pushy. But what I always think is you do what feels super comfortable for you. Like I'm a bit ballsy, you're a bit ballsy, you're very ballsy. And so maybe what we want to do is different from someone who's a little bit more introverted or works in a different way. And that's absolutely fine. But if you don't want to feel pushy, don't want to feel icky, then just don't get yourself into a position where you feel pushy or icky. You know, when I follow up with people on a daily basis, I don't feel icky or pushy. That's why I can do it. I don't want people to miss out. I don't want people to miss the thing and go, oh my gosh, I didn't sign up or whatever. And that's why I feel like I can follow up, but just make sure it feels comfortable for you.
Yeah, I'm like that. So when I follow up with people, let's say if they've been in a challenge or they've taken interest in the course, I'll follow up by saying, have you got any other questions? And what I don't like is this sort of cut and paste script that people have where they follow up with, you know, well, what are your goals in the coming? It's always the same thing. What are your goals in the coming year? I'm curious. Would you like to earn an extra And I'm like, I can't stand that. And I think it's because I've seen it so many times. I think just be original. You don't need a script to sell. Like people that sell templates of what to say, don't do that. You know your product. You know what's good about it. Just talk about it. Tell people why it might be good for them. And I think that half of selling is listening. And that's where people get it wrong. Like I've been on sales calls where no one's asked me what my issues are. They've just talked at me about the thing and tried to persuade me and tried to scare me that if I don't buy it, some bad stuff will happen. But I always think, like, I don't do many sales calls and I don't do many discovery calls because I think I'm online so much that I sell that way more. But when I do have a conversation with somebody, I'm like, well, tell me what you're looking for, because I might not be the right person for them.
Right. Or that might not be the right offer for them. If someone's like, oh, I'm thinking about signing up to your membership and I just wanted to know, do you think that'd be good for me? And you were like, yeah, here's the link. Well, actually, asking, well, what do you want? Well, actually, I want to scale my business from 6 figures to 7 figures. Will the membership help me do that? No, you need to get in the mastermind. This is the wrong offer for you. You know, the more you understand the problems, the more you can steer them in the right direction. And actually, you might be able to sell them more.
Yeah, that's right. And often we're just told to close the deal, close the deal, you know, on the call or wherever you have to, just close the deal. And I felt really uncomfortable when people have done that to me. Like, you know, can you give me your credit card while you're on? And I'm like, I want to think about it. And some of the things that I think sales get a bad rep for is because some people say things like I've said before, oh, I just want to go and think about it, maybe talk to my team about whether it's the right thing we need for now. And they'll go, oh, so your team makes your decisions about your business and not you. Does that make you a good CEO? That just turns me off. There will never be a time where I go, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'll sign up now. Like, I will always do the opposite if someone says that.
Yeah. And I feel in some spaces they do this more than in other spaces. So, for example, I had a sales call recently and someone said, you need to do this. I mean, like, red flag all over. Like, no, that is just not okay. Like, I would never say that to somebody. Like, I had a look at your business and your sales processes are absolutely terrible. So you need to buy from me. Like, that's just not okay. And actually that puts me off completely. What is better for me? And this is the way that I buy. You are amazing. You're absolutely smashing it. And I know I can help you be even more amazing.
Yeah. Don't make someone feel crap. Yeah. Exactly. I don't think there's many people that if you make them feel bad, they would like to buy more from you. I always remember somebody saying to me, like, people remember how you made them feel, not necessarily what you said. And if that's the case, you know, this pain point thing, let's bring up all of the traumatic experiences you've ever had and then say that you can solve them. All that would do is make me go away feeling really bad about myself. And that doesn't make me want to buy.
No, exactly. People buy when they feel good. But you know what I'm saying? There's a big group of people out there who are doing this, like, shame selling, and it's just not okay.
Yeah. And actually, we're probably not supposed to say things like this, but there is a big group of people in the spiritual arena out there online that have, you know, suddenly, there was always the spirituality sellers that were great and that I used to follow, and they were, you know, they'd do their thing and they were really well qualified in what they do. And now suddenly there's like a massive amount of people that have just woken up yesterday and decided today that they can now sell whatever spiritual thing, whether it's codes or whatever the newest thing is on the block today. And the way they're selling is about shame. It pinpoints shame straight away. Like, you don't feel good enough. You don't do this, you know, you don't belong. And I just don't think it's the way, like, making people feel bad about things. And what can happen if you sell like that is that people will come into your programs, but there'll be a nightmare. You're not going to enjoy it and they're not going to enjoy it. And why would you want that? That's why persuasion. So people talk a lot about persuasion in selling. I've always thought there is a place for persuasion. There is a place to persuade people that you are the right person, for instance, to help. But persuading someone they need something that they don't necessarily think they need isn't always a good way, because I'm good at persuading. I could persuade someone to come into a course that maybe they don't need, but that's not going to go well for me long term.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really important, like in sales pages and stuff, that you're using persuasive language.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is a sales page. It is there to sell. But I think there's a difference between that and actually, you know, spending a lot of time convincing somebody to buy something. They need to make that decision in their own head. You tell them what it's about, you understand their scenario and how you can help them solve their problem, and then they go away and decide if it's the right thing for them. And if they go away and they decide it's not the right thing, and you have handled it really well, I bet you bottom dollar they'll be back to buy something else from you later on.
They do. And even like if someone comes to you and you think, do you know what, I'm not the right person for this. I had someone come to me and wanted product coaching, like was going to pay me 50k to do coaching about products. And I was like, I'm not the right person for this. I've never had a product. This isn't the right. Yes, could I coach them general business around it? Is there someone I know better that can? Yeah, like several people. And so I turned that person away and said, look, I would love to coach you, but actually, I think there are better people and I'm going to send you on to them and you can have a look at them. And I gave them the names of 3 people and they went with one of them in the end. I made way more than that 50k because that person told all of her friends that didn't have products, if you're ever in need of somebody to teach you about business, go to this person. She's legit. She turned me away because she said I wasn't the right person for her. And people then trusted me. And so you'll make more money in the long run anyway. And it's not fun to coach somebody that you don't think you're getting them the best results. I've done it before, like in the early days when I used to take on anyone for anything. And I'm like, I don't know if I can get this person the results or not. It just keeps you up at night. Well, it does me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not a good place to be in. I totally agree.
So if somebody's like scared of selling, like maybe they've only just started and they're like, I really want to sell, but I've just been giving value in my group, or I've just been writing to my email list, telling them a load of good stuff about me. I have got this thing that I think could really help them, but they're just scared to put it out there. What's the steps that they take to start feeling more confident about it?
I think the main thing for me is just completely flipping your mindset around sales. So I'll use one-to-many as the most perfect example. So